Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sunday Morning Quarterback. Today, we are four pastors who love ministry, leadership, and sports. Dad, football is finally back. TV's enjoyable again.
I had a great day. Just had a good day at church, celebrating with the Saints, and then go home, eat some good food, and watch football the rest of the day. It's great.
Yep, I loved it. I loved it. John Paul, y'all have a good weekend at church.
I had a great weekend, man. Good time with the Saints, as always.
Well, Paul,
Same.
I'll come to you first because, man, the first thing that jumped off the screen, Paul, Tyreek Hill was going crazy on the sideline. I think he's going to be the first player to request a trade in week 2. Paul, what happened to your Dolphins?
Again.
Again.
I don't know what to tell you. It's the case of the turnovers, the Tua turnovers, bro, is what it ended up being. It was bad, man. I mean, they just never recovered. I mean, they got shut out in the first half. Didn't score until the end of the game. I mean, it was just bad. But when you have the Colts basically having complete control of the game with the Dolphins hardly getting any sort of offensive anything going. And then you have turnovers, fumbles, the defense wasn't doing anything. It was just bad. It was a bad ball game. And then ironically enough, like I mentioned last week, the guy that's on the hot seat is Mike McDaniel. And in one of the interviews himself, he said, I need to take a look at myself of what's going on. You probably should, Mike McDaniel, because that was a really bad game, bro.
Man, what a weekend, guys. I don't know about y'all. I was got home from church after a long day, and I started the Buffalo game, and I fell asleep in the third quarter. And then I woke up at about 3 a.m. and I was like, let me check and just make sure Baltimore won. And oh man, dude, I was locked in.
Man.
I had
missed the game.
Oh, it was bad. It was man. Dad, John, any one of y'all want to jump in your thoughts on that game last night? Whew.
I'll defer.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll go. But before I go, let me just help Paul out.
Oh, gosh.
As soon as the Miami organization understands and realizes that what they have as a head coach is an offensive coordinator, then once they get to that point, they'd start doing better. And so he is not a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. I'm sure maybe Detroit wants to give him a call right now to get him out of Miami. So anyway, that's just a little.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
The Panthers.
But go back to that Buffalo game. I mean, that's vintage. It's vintage Baltimore Buffalo. And I know right now Baltimore is getting hammered. And really, this happens often. But one of these two great teams had to lose, and they had to lose in that type of fashion. They will see each other again later on down. Right now, they're just preparing, sharpening the knives, and ready to get to the championship rounds. So, I didn't learn anything. I think they're both going to be great. They'll be there at the end, and Josh Allen, he's just a beast, man.
I think that the interesting thing was Josh Allen's a beast. I think you have some people saying, okay, is he the best player in the NFL right now? But the interesting thing was if Henry wouldn't have fumbled that ball, the game turned on its side. So now Baltimore's got this thing of, okay, can you finish games? That was something that jumped out to me. John, what about you?
Yeah, I think once Henry put the ball on the earth like that, then the game changed dramatically, and it wasn't even that big a deal. You're up by a couple of scores. It wasn't that big of an emotional deal, which I think reveals at some level that Baltimore's really scared of Allen. I think they're a little nervous getting the ball back to him, give them a little bit of momentum. They should be. Their defense still in question. I mean, they played against a very good offense, but still to give up 40 points is crazy work. And so they got some question marks there. So it should be a very interesting time. My Panthers, the Bryce Young era continues. I'll speak on behalf of Adam and Morning. I'm gonna make the statement. I think it could be wise now to go after Richardson. And hear me out, because I think, is there a lot of turnover with him? Absolutely. But at least the dude puts it downfield. I think for me, the Bryce Young difficulty is the skittish, almost like, I don't want to throw the ball. I'm scared to make a mistake. Like, give me the Brett Favre. Give me the guy that says, I'm going to throw it all out there. At least you can cheer for that guy. At least, like, you can go, he can win you the game, lose you the game. But he's not just going to lose you the game. It's almost like, dude, just let the ball go. This is what you're getting paid to do. At one point, it's got to click, and I think another couple games like that, it'll be time to move on from the Bryce Young experiment.
Yeah, especially in this world of quarterbacks. One thing that jumped out, a lot of people, their eyes were turned to Justin Herbert. And, he put up shockingly good numbers. And so the question is, okay, can he take that next step? But, John, it's Monday, so we're a few days removed. But as you can see, he's got his Dallas blue on, okay? Some hope has been rekindled. I want to hear your thoughts on how our Dallas Cowboys look. Did they look better than you anticipated?
Oh,
I
Jerry
feel
had
like
some
you're just
nice
trying to
words.
just get racked up here, man.
Jerry even had nice words, bro. Oh, Dak Prescott's one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
I'm giving it to you, John, to set our expectations.
Oh, my word.
Early season Dak is always the best Dak.
100%.
You've seen that historically. You don't have injuries. You don't have, nobody's banged up. I think, obviously they're missing a defensive stud in the middle. I don't know where that guy could have went. I don't know what happened there, but evidently, I think maybe looking to the future when you're playing against some teams that throw it around a lot, I think it's going to cause some difficulty. I look, they played the ball, they played well, they kept the game interesting. Eagles are the team in the East. They have been for the last couple of years. But, first week, Dallas Cowboys, and week 17, week 16, Dallas Cowboys are two separate teams. And so it's still too early. But I do appreciate that the delusion is now beginning. I like that it used to
It's always on time, bro.
Season. It used to be off season, but now we've bumped it up. Week 1, we lost.
Hey.
But that's enough to generate the delusion. And
I
I'm
think the
here for
NFL landscape, though, everybody's takeaway was, oh, man, we thought the Cowboys would look like hot garbage. And they didn't.
I'm waiting patiently, Joseph. I'm waiting patiently.
Go ahead. Take it away. Take it away.
First of all, as a father, I just want to share how disappointed I was in Joseph throwing in the towel before it even got started.
I did.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
The defense.
In the towel.
Wisdom.
And let me educate you, my son. If you would have really been paying attention to what was going on and transpiring in the team, rather than listening to all these pundits, you would have known that there was a culture change. Now, mind you, I was hopeful. It wasn't anything I was going to lay money on, but I was hopeful that there was a culture change going on. The philosophies, I think, with Micah, I get it. They should have happened a little earlier. But the fact that we got a defensive tackle that showcased itself because Barkley had 50 yards on the ground.
First half was rough.
They pretty much helped. Once they got that second half, they shut everything down. Offense looked good. And so I really believe that this is a soft rebuild, but because of some of the talent that they have, they will make a very good push to the playoffs. However, I'm not expecting them to go to the championship game, but I want to see fight. I saw a fight. I want to see a culture change. I saw a culture change. I saw good coaching. I saw a buttoned up team, and I saw a Dak that was real confident in a big game. And so everything that I was looking for, I saw. So if you are a Cowboy fan, as Joseph used to be, you should be really hopeful.
Man, fighting words.
The family is split.
You got to hold the line. You can be honest, but also you got to keep.
Let me referee here, okay? Let's just stop for a moment. Let's take it in. All right. And so obviously Joe's been in the delusion much longer than you have, so the effects are much longer. The last time they were relevant was back when these used to play. I don't know if you know what that is. So let's just take some time. Culture's been changing for about 2 decades now. Just take some time.
Oh yeah.
Let your boy cook for a little while. See if he's right. The delusion doesn't need to set in this early. Let's not split the family here.
Hey, we are not the worst team in the league like everybody predicted. We are going to be a problem for people.
It could be worse. We could be the Panthers.
Or the Dolphins.
It could be, but if in the East, you guys can't be the Panthers. If the East is getting good, and you guys, if your boy Dart comes in, it could be an interesting shootout over there.
Yeah. All I'll say, John.
Joseph,
Yep.
at least they got the Tar Heels. Oh, wait a minute. They don't have that either.
John's going to be licking his wounds all year. John, in all seriousness, no, though, I will say that Schottenheimer looked better in one game than McCarthy or Jason Garrett. I felt looked in totality. Sure. He ended a drive at the end of the half. He had a competent, relevant, not archaic offensive game scheme. So I thought Dak looked competent and confident. So we'll see going forward. But, hey, just looking forward to week 2. I don't think there was a ton of shockers yesterday across the league, but here's a game going into week 2. Okay, ready for this? We've got Sunday Night Football, Eagles at Chiefs. So either the Chiefs are going to start out 0-2 or the Eagles are going to come back down to reality. You got Bears, Lions. Paul, you got Patriots at Dolphins. You got Browns at Ravens, so they're going to probably rebound there. Rams at Titans, Giants at Cowboys. So interesting slate of games. John, what jumped out to you week 2? There wasn't a ton of games in college football, but we saw Oklahoma thwart Michigan. Anything that you're watching in week 2? Carolina got that first win. Any thoughts?
Man, it was good to bounce back even against a high school varsity team and get a W. You take whatever you can get right now, early and often, and so we're happy for it. We're waiting for basketball season as always. Nobody's making any doubts about that. I don't care who the coach is. No, I thought honestly it was a slate of great games. I was surprised how many teams this early in the season were just burying people. I'm talking about 60 points, 70 points. Typically you see that when teams kind of begin to gel together, but you're seeing some teams just come out and we're talking about 7th string players entering into the game and playing and scoring up point. Honestly, you know what? For all the grief that FSU has had in the past, you got to begin to scratch your head and wonder if last year was just a fluke and we're already back on task. I know they didn't play a great team, but they beat a team really well. And so you like to see that. You like to see some of the parity there. And honestly, I'm waiting for Ohio State to continue to turn out wins and see if they're going to be the team that we think they're going to be or if they're just going to dud out. And I think it's still 50-50 for me.
Dad, give us a preview, the one that everybody's going to want to talk about, Georgia at Tennessee this week.
I think that's going to be a great game. I'm not sure about Georgia yet. We've not really seen them in Tennessee, but the thing, like what John said, Tennessee put up a lot of points. I think it was about 70. And to put up that many points, that says something. They got a new quarterback. They're continuing in this system of the coach, and you can kind of see that blueprint just begin to build a good offense, a strong defense. So I like where Tennessee's at right now. We'll see where they are when they play Georgia.
If they can pull out a win, that would be the Baltimore Ravens keep hitting that ceiling, can't get over that hump. If you get an early win against Georgia, then you can really put yourself on the map. And Heupel, they've been right on the fringe. And so both of them got new quarterbacks, kind of young teams. And so we're going to find out early how good both of them are.
Hey, let me say one thing. You know who I thought looked the best was Oregon. Oregon, thumped Oklahoma State. And they're no juggernaut, but they're usually pretty consistently, a little above the average. And they thumped them. It was pathetic. And there were some kind of the two coaches going back and forth. And so Oregon, they put it on them. So I know that Oregon has a tendency of doing this, but they did this against a pretty good team. So I'm going to keep my eye on Oregon. I think that they are making strides. And if they can just get a little, tougher in the trenches, I think that they can do something different. And then one last thing, watch out. I think it's interesting. Indiana and Illinois, they've got great teams. And so Illinois almost made the playoffs last year. They brought in all their returners. And so they are thumping people again. And so it's interesting to have Indiana and Illinois knocking on the doorsteps in the Big Ten. So from everything I'm hearing, they're going to give Penn State and Ohio State all that they can handle. So those two basketball schools, watch out for them in football.
And we feel like the shift is happening where the Big Ten starting to get more conversation, the SEC starting to get a little I don't want to jump on it too soon, but I feel like
you're right.
There's some strides being made in one conference that's not being made in the other, and it's quite shocking because I wouldn't have forecasted this just a year ago even. I've been looking around going, there's one or two good teams in the Big Ten and that's it, but it looks like they're doing pretty well.
And the
Well,
playoffs,
that's
the
where you
playoffs are
see
going to
that
change
in,
things.
Yep, that and that NIL having a few years to balance out. Now, Paul, this is going to be an interesting one. We saw Florida get thwarped by, I believe, South Florida, who's now
Yeah.
ranked 18. And so
Yeah.
then now they got to play Miami, and you got some teams really taking Miami. I feel like even more serious than they did last year, talking
Yeah.
about national title shot. Now I don't know, that might be a little stretch, but this could be an early test playing South Florida.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'll say this: I really like the Hurricanes' offense. They are stout. I mean, I would venture to say that if they're not one of the best ACC offenses, they're one of the best nationwide offenses that you're going to watch. And the reason is, man, they've got some NFL players on that offensive line. And one dude that I promise you is either a Nephilim or something different. That dude is huge. I don't know if you've seen that guy, but my gosh, he is massive. And so you've got that. Here's one good thing that I've noticed. 2 games, 0 turnovers from Miami. 0. And every time that they drove, and I get it, it's Bethune-Cookman. I get that. But man, 5 drives, 5 touchdowns. Like, they were not playing around. And I honestly think they were playing at about 80%. I mean, you can tell the ease in which they were just driving down the field. I mean, it was just that much outnumbered between both of those teams. With South Florida, like, credit needs to be given to them. They are a good team, and I would not sleep on South Florida. In fact, Mario Cristobal said they're a good team and they should be ranked higher than what they are ranked currently. So he's setting up Miami already to say, you go in there and you play them like you're going to go play FSU in a couple weeks because
That'll be a good test.
yeah, it will be that because that's the pathway is having that mindset because we're going to have to face the Gators. We're going to have to face FSU. The only nice thing that we have is the lead up.
Florida and Florida State back to back in weeks 4 and
Right.
6. Dad, what you got?
Hey, I was just gonna compliment Paul because I think Miami's doing something real important that I think the rest of college has got to get behind. For the second year in a row, they have put their money on a quarterback.
Yeah.
And so they went out
100%.
and they paid and they followed their quarterback from Washington State. They brought him in, and man, he did great. They did the same thing with Georgia. They paid him more than any other quarterback. I'm like, we need a quarterback to do what we want to do, and so they're doing it. And so I think where Florida, the Gators, we don't know who their quarterback's been the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to compete in this league, you've got to have
Yeah.
a great quarterback.
Yeah.
And Miami, they know what they're doing with that.
Hey,
Yep.
and with everything that Beck's gotten, dude at one point was 9 for 10 on the field. And no interceptions, no turnovers. Like, the dude is dialed in right now.
It reminded Georgia who he is.
100%.
Yeah. That's good. So good time to be watching football, and we'll kind of keep up with the games from week to week. John, do you want to take us into our ministry and leadership topic today?
Sure, be happy to. I was just thinking how this idea kind of lifts off from the sports world. You have freshmen, you have new guys coming in on a football team. You kind of have to earn your spot. You got to be able to work in some of the things that are part of the team chemistry. And I thought it'd be helpful for us to talk about what are the 2 things that if we were to talk to a young pastor, now that's a relative term. Some of us here are older than others. Some of us just look older than others. But nonetheless, if we were just here dropping in the idea of 2 helpful tips, really like 2 things, if I could just kind of rip everything else away, because I could sit for days and helping mentor young pastors. What are those 2 things that each young pastor would be greatly benefited in knowing from the onset? So that way, when they walk into ministry, they would have eyes wide open, clarity, precision, a seeking to honor the Lord, and things like that. So really, it's my chance to kind of gather some collective wisdom from you guys with some of the guys that are in my congregation and be able to invest these truths into their heart. But I thought there's got to be other people out there that are raising up the next generation of pastors that are ready to go and investing the word and truth into their life. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Let's start with Paul Lasso, though, since he's got the most gray out of all of us. So sage wisdom here, brother.
I don't know about that, but I do have the gray. I will say that. I think I'm beating Joe on that one for sure.
Amen.
He's lapped you.
Look, he says he's getting there. Whatever, man. Man, it's a great question, John, and one that I was Man, there's so many things that you could probably say that would be equally as good as everyone else's top two kind of thing. The two that immediately surfaced for me were, one is find someone that's ahead of you that has a willingness to speak truth into your life, right? Find a really good friend that's willing to be able to be honest with you, hold you accountable, and really get a chance to be able to invest in your life. I was deeply grateful for people like that in my life that were willing to tell me what I needed to hear, and not puff my head up, not just be the rah 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 all the time. Though those people, there you'll have them, right? There's some sweet people that are always going to tell you great and encouraging things, and that's always a blessing. But man, to have somebody that has your back enough to be able to tell you the truth is huge. And then the other one is just be slow enough to get to know and love your people. Like, don't rush. Don't try to come in and, be the hero of the church. You're not. There's already one. He's done a great job at it, and he's really good at saving his people and moving his people forward. But man, just as a shepherd, to be able to win the hearts of your people by simply slowing down enough to get to know them genuinely, talking with them, lingering around. Just get to know your people and find somebody to speak truth into your life on a regular basis. Those are the two that came to my mind.
That's great. Yeah, that's really helpful. Joseph, you want to build on those ideas?
Yeah, I mean, Paul basically stole both my ideas,
Sorry.
so thank you for that. But no, I think for me, one of the things that I've had instilled in me is play the long game. I think sometimes when you come in, you have the fresh ideas and fresh concepts, and you want to go, and you want to try to do everything within a few years, and then you realize church world and in relation to sports, it's 52 weeks a year of games, and every Sunday and every week. And so I've just really tried to slow down. And I think sometimes when it's more me focused, I want to get stuff done quick. And it's like, okay, let the Lord dictate the pace. Maybe now's not the time for that. I agree with Paul. I think, be a glutton for mentors. That's why one of the things I enjoy about this podcast is online and offline. I'm always picking y'all's brain, and you're kind of, hey, face this, here, be ready for this, or hey, here's how I handled that. And that kind of keeps you humble. And then I also think, again, kind of what Paul said in a different way, don't feel like you got to chase. I think a lot of times, guys, it's just we have this ladder mentality, and it's like 3 years here and 3 years here. And so don't be afraid to go find somewhere and sit under good leadership and just learn and let the Lord bless your ministry, let him scale your ministry. And then just kind of be faithful where you're planted. I think sometimes the most talented ministers, they tend to hop around all the time because they're constantly getting pulled out, or, hey, speak here, or come here. And sometimes I think it's harder just to find a good place that you love the people and just being content in a season of learning. And then when the Lord's ready to expand your influence, let him do so.
That's helpful. Yep. Joe, let's hear it from the wisest of us all here.
I thought about this. It was a great question, John. And because you can go in so many different directions. And I really thought, if I'm talking to a young pastor, a lot of times there's so many books out now that you can read, great books. There's so many podcasts out that you can listen to with great insight. And I think for a young pastor, they can get lost in the techniques of ministry, and where the techniques are what's most important. And I know, and you guys know, that that's not what's most important. What's most important goes back to what Paul was talking to the Corinthians in chapter 3. He's like, look, Apollos can preach good, Paul preaches good, Peter preaches good, but it's God that brings the increase. And the foundation is not on man or techniques or personalities. The foundation is Christ. And so I would say, look, you have to lay the foundation of Christ. That is the foundation of ministry. And it's so easy to forget that because, we may never say it, but it's my church and I want to build it. And before you know it, it's all about you. And then that's a part of pride and idolatry. And so I would warn against being careful and push back the thought that it's your church. And remember, it's not your ministry, it's Christ's ministry. And we should be humble in the approach. And remember that he is the foundation, and he is the strength, and he is the power that will cause it to grow, number one. And then to tie into that, number two, which is something that is not something that I came up with, but Adrian Rogers told me one-on-one when I asked him, I said, hey, listen, what's just one thing that I can take away that you've learned? And this was maybe 3 months before he died. And I'll never forget it. And I've shared this many times. He said, Joe, you got to maintain personal revival. You got to maintain personal revival. And it's so true because, again, it ties into using worldly wisdom to build a church and even worldly wisdom to maintain what we think is spirituality. So for me, I try to always take a step back and remember to have my personal quiet time, to remember that every time that I'm in a Bible study, it's not for a lesson, it's not for a sermon, but what is God speaking to me about, and have that intimate time with God. Because as pastors, we've got so many things going on, and you want to preach a good message, and you've got all these things are happening, and you can fall into traps. But I think what prevents that is when you have personal, intimate time with the Lord, and then ministry doesn't become your idol. It's something that you understand, that you have been gifted with. You understand the humility of it. And then you go forward in God's power, being led by the Holy Spirit of God. And I think, in our time here in the 21st century, we can really get stuck with all the techniques and the trends, which again, that's part of wisdom. And so we should utilize that. But I think we can get wrapped up in all that and forget the simple things of the scripture, and understanding that the Spirit of God does work. He will provide the increase. We just have to be servants with servant's heart and understand what we've been given, and just live a surrendered life and keep that personal revival hot for the Lord.
Yeah, if I could just pile on a couple here, I might not limit it to two, but it is my question, so I'll just jump with it. The first one, really abruptly, but one that I wholeheartedly believe in, is to put to death the drive that's being forced for you to be efficient, and the drive for the urgent. If you're driven by what's urgent and driven simply by what's efficient, you will miss a lot of great time with the Lord. You'll find yourself moving from one crisis to the next. You'll not find any joy in what you're doing. So always tell them, like, hey, this role is not about how to maximize your time. It's just not. Let the Lord dictate your time. Spend it in slow, methodical conversations. You're going to drink a lot of bad coffee between now and glory. So take that in with people. Enjoy that. The other one that really jumped to my mind is, minister mostly and most effectively in your home.
Yeah.
If ministry will always be there. People will always need you. I think Paul said it. Christ is the savior of his church, but we have that Messiah complex that wants to kind of push in, and I got to be there. And so I always tell guys, like, man, 4:30, go home, right? Like it'll be here waiting for you for a couple hours. Turn your phone off. Don't be accessible. There's certainly time where people were not accessible, and Christ's kingdom continued to forge forward. And so you can't always be on. Only the Lord is always on. And so I think for us, we have to just shut it down. Be at home. Be at rest. Be there for your family. At the end of the day, one day our church is not going to call me pastor, but my daughters are going to always call me dad, even if I pass away. My wife's always going to call me husband, and so those are two roles that I need to maintain all the way to the very end. And then finally, and I think this is just my own understanding of ministry, is be who the Lord's called you to be. Right? I can't shepherd like anybody else. I can't preach like anyone else. I can't do these things. God has uniquely gifted each one of us with personalities and desires and interests and hobbies, and forged all of that together through experience to be able to shepherd this particular flock. And when we begin to adapt to the most effective trends or methods, or looking like this guy or sounding like this guy, we really do a disservice to the Lord, and assuming that guy there can minister more effectively in my church here. And I would just disagree with that. But I mean, those are all helpful tips. I think any young pastor, even senior pastor, the seasoned pastor that's been around, could share some of these things with other people, and I think be a blessing really to the guys to kind of give them some achievable hurdles that aren't just beating them down.
That's good.
Hey, John.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
got one quote for you from Dr. Falwell. He said, I'm talking about pastor, what you talk about family. He said, what profit a pastor to save the whole world and lose his own family? I never forgot that. It's so true.
That's a good one to take us out on. We'll be back in 2 weeks for some more sports talk and ministry. Y'all have a good day.